Good morning, dear aspirants, and we are ready with the must-read articles of 2nd January. And we'll also discuss prelims probable question of 2025 prelims. So let's run through the quick scan. In the front page, there's an article only important from prelims point of view where Ukraine halts transit of Russian gas to Europe. So all the places that is related to Ukraine-Russia war, you should look at the world map and find it where it is. For example, before the war, Russia supplied nearly 40% of the EU's pipeline natural gas. Gas flowed through 4 pipeline systems, one under Baltic Sea. See where is Baltic Sea and the surrounding countries. One through the Belarus and Poland and one through the Ukraine and one under the Black Sea. Look at these countries where they are. They're sharing borders with whom? Baltic Sea and Black Sea, right? Okay, next article. We'll directly come to the editorial page. Now this article is not completely important, but I just want you to remind that this delimitation topic is important. Tackling delimitation by reversing population control. Now this topic comes under the syllabus of GS paper 2, Indian Constitution and its significant provisions. Why delimitation is important? Because this year also 2024 prelims, it was asked, the first question in set D, a delimitation commission, how many delimitation commissions have been set? So the answers was 1, 2, 3, 4, it was 4, 1952, 1962, 1972 and then 2002, right? So check the relation between population and delimitation. What is delimitation? How is it related with population, right? So that is only important here, nothing more, since the discussion is going on about it. Now let's move to another article. There's a very good examples. This article is mostly important for examples. Youth at the forefront of climate litigation. Now this comes under the topic of climate change, which is also there in GS1 and also there in GS paper 3, climate change actions. Very good examples, right? So what is happening? The youth are holding governments and corporations accountable by framing climate inaction as a human violation. When you are doing nothing about climate, you're violating our human rights. That is what is the stance of these youths. They argue that the disproportionate impacts on younger generations demand bold systemic solution. So one case of United States which is not so climate friendly is very important here. A landmark moment in youth-led climate litigation occurred with 𝘿 versus State of Montana case in the US. What has happened? The Montana Supreme Court upheld a district court ruling in favor of 16 young plaintiffs who argued that Montana's fossil fuel policies violated their constitutional rights and failed to address the climate crisis. You can surely use this article of US in climate change, the best practices in your solutions and also in the essay, since environment related topics are coming in essay. And so there are other examples. In the Netherlands, a court ruling compelled the government to adopt stricter emission targets. Colombia's Supreme Court recognized the Amazon rainforest as a legal entity, mandating its protection for future generations. In India also, UK's Uttarakhand's High Court has also made Yamuna and Ganga legal entity. You can go and check it out. Germany's constitutional court required stronger climate policies to uphold youth rights. Right? Youth-driven climate litigation is revolutionizing the global climate movement, achieving landmark wins and demanding government accountability. And we know who is the pioneer here. They are this youth-driven legal battles and transforming climate policy are led by figures like Greta Thunberg to courtroom advocacy demanding systemic change. Very good examples. There's one Indian example also, Riddhima Pandey, who brought the case before the NGT, though it was, her appeal was not agreed by NGT, but it is still pending in the Supreme Court. So something about that can come up as well. Then let's move to the next article. Now this article is only about data that can be used in GS2 paper issues related to development of social sector like education. School dropout rates go from bad to worse in Bihar and Assam. So what is happening? Dropouts rates in Karnataka, Rajasthan, Gujarat and Haryana are also concerning. So there has been a marked improvement in the share of students continuing education into higher grades. So I have made a graph here where of every 100 girls, 80 completed their secondary education without dropping out in 2024, whereas the data was 73.5 in 2019. See, 2019-2024, girls 73.5 to 80. And again, boys was little lesser. Boys data of non-dropout boys in 2024 reached 77.2, whereas girls are 80. And in 2019, boys were 72.4 and girls were 73.5. So girls dropout rates are lower than boys, right? So this graph you can use and these data, right? Let's move to the next article. Now, this article is only important from GS2 point of view, impact of policies and politics of developed countries on India's interests, how developed countries are building their defense power, right? The race for fighters, the IAS dilemma. So what has happened? China has already fielded 2 5th-generation fighter jets, becoming the only country other than the US to have more than one 5th-generation fighter. In comparison, the Indian Air Force is at 31 fighter squadrons, desperately awaiting new inductions and with no 5th-generation fighter in the lineup for at least a decade. So China is at least 10 to 15 years ahead of us in this Indian Air Force power, right? So you just can read the gist here. There's a lot of details here which is not required. So China unveiled a series of high technology platforms which includes 5th-generation, 2 5th-generation fighters, amphibious naval ship, comprehensive scientific research ship for global deep sea exploration. India also has ambitious plans for the acquisition of 500 fighter jets. However, these are at various stages of development and their timely deliveries are still critical. An Arrow engine is likely to remain the single major dependency and India's Achilles heel for a very long time. Only this much is important. Do not go deep into the article. Okay, so this article is more important from political science students' point of view, in search of a grand strategy for India's foreign policy in the 21st century. But you can also use one of the writers who have brought recent books. So GS2, bilateral regional global groupings affecting India's interests, right? So one writer is who has written the book, Friends, India's closest strategic partners, Professor at Jindal University, Sriram Chaulia, has given 3 points here that India cannot depend on a multilateral framework to advance on this path and need specific bilateral relationships. Second, India's friends are by and large those who believe in Indian strategic autonomy. Third, friends invested in India using its strategic independence as a countervailing or different challenge to Chinese hegemony. So these are 3 points of this professor. The 2 books are also mentioned of 𝙤𝙤 Shankar. So these things political science students especially should use. Let's move to other page. Yeah, so this is an important prelims type of information. As I told you, we should note down. According to India's national calendar, this is the first day of the year. So what is the first day of the year according to national calendar? It is March 22. And when it is leap year, it is March 21. And which calendar do our nation accept as an official calendar? It is Saka calendar, right? And from where the unified Saka calendar was adopted with effect from March 21, 1956 AD. Saka refers to Scythians who ruled from Ujjain between 130 to 395 CE. Right? So you should know about our national calendar. Let's move to a different page. So this article, center states roped in 54,800 to monitor online content report. So this topic will come under, since it is about cyber security, this will come under GS3 internal security. The Union Ministry of Home Affairs have roped in 54,000 or 55,000 volunteers against cybercrime to flag unlawful content in the internet. The Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, I4C, under Ministry of Home Affairs, launched the program in 2020, aiming to bring together citizens with passion to serve the nation on a single platform and contribute to fight against cybercrime in the country. So this can also be used as an example of community involvement in governance. That community participation should be included. Very excellent example of community participation. Next page. Yeah, now this example is important. Excessive nitrates found in groundwater in 440 districts of India. So we have direct syllabus, GS1. Changes in critical geographical features like water bodies, groundwater comes under water bodies. So reports suggest that about 56% of India's districts face the problem largely due to subsidized synthetic nitrogenous fertilizers. We use a lot amount of fertilizers more than required, a level more than 45 mg per liter, which is very high. And this report comes from Central Groundwater Board. Rajasthan, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu reported the highest nitrate contamination problem, right? So you can use some of the data. About 73% of the blocks analyzed from groundwater are safe zone, meaning that they are replenished enough. So CGWBs in water related issues comes in GS paper 1 mains questions. So you can use this data around that. Now school enrollment down by over 1 crore in 2023-24 report. Again, this topic comes under GS paper 2, issues relating to social sectors like education. So what has happened? A total of 24.8 crore students enrolled in the academic year 2023-24 as per the Unified District Information System for Education, UDIS plus report. Okay, so and what has happened? Apart from Aadhaar, a separate unique educational ID which is called eID for every student has been created in the UDIS portal plus cover each and every child under the ecosystem of UDIS plus. So this eID will help government to weed out duplicate or ghost entries, resulting in precise identification of beneficiaries for benefit transfer of important schemes like Samagra Shiksha scheme, PM Poshan scheme, National Scholarship scheme, etc. So let's move to different article. Now this is about cabinet extends diammonium phosphate special package crop insurance to state. Now this comes under GS3 agricultural subsidies. The cabinet has also approved the continuation of Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana and restructured weather-based crop insurance scheme till 25-26. The aim of this decision is to provide risk coverage to farmers against natural calamities. The cabinet approved setting up of Fund for Innovation and Technology (FIAT), which will be kept for insurance of agriculture. Next page. And the last topic is about again environmental summits. A lot of environmental summits are coming. So we'll cover this in brief. 4 UN environmental summits fell short in 2024. What happened? So they could not fructify the results that they aimed to. At the heart of the breakdown lies a divergence in national priorities of developed and developing countries. Developing nations are demanding more technology and financial support from developed countries, and developed countries do not want to take that responsibility, right? So in Azerbaijan, countries were divided. So there were four summits. Colombia summit was about biodiversity, Azerbaijan of UNFCCC, Saudi Arabia was on land degradation, and South Korea summit was about plastics. And none of this were working. In Azerbaijan, countries were divided over fossil fuels. The plastic pollution toxin. South Korea also concluded without agreement because countries relied on ongoing demand and plastics. They opposed legally binding treaty, right? So, and there were several issues about it. So, in Saudi Arab also, industrialized nation clashed with African countries over the establishment of legally binding drought protocol. The Saudi Arabian wanted broad operational framework, whereas African nations demanded a concrete plan because they're more affected with disasters, right? And Saudi Arabia is prospering nicely. So these are differences between national intentions and initiatives. And that's it for 2nd January.